All right, so I'm Savannah and my husband Michael. We have three kids. Our oldest is an 18-year-old boy. Our youngest is 3, and he's also a boy, and our middle is a daughter. We can't wait to show them the film because it actually brought a lot of emotion out of both of us. I mean, I'm a notorious crier, and I cried throughout the movie. So this question is for everybody, and we just wanted to know if you have the world's attention right now. Everybody's screens is locked into what you're saying. What one scene out of the movie would each of you pick and why to give this movie a voice?
It's a good question. And I first want to thank you guys for being here. Each and every one of you contributing to your voices to this conversation around what we will do next, how we might find a way to not only have conversations around our safety, but to really get engaged in a hands-on way. So the when you all are dealing with America as young people, it's done so in a way that has power, that has specificity, and it's not playing the same tapes that we're playing here in my generation. And so, I always wanted to engage the young people because I feel like when we're talking about something like this, our contribution to the movement as an older person now at 41 is sometimes tied to old tropes and ideas. And I think based on what we've seen in this past summer, there's a new way with asking and answering questions that you guys are leading. And I think it's super important to not only support you all, but to give you the tools that we have so you can run with your own movement. Of course, we're engaged, but you get what I'm saying. So the fact that you're here is every reason why I wanted to make this film. When I think about the character of Shane, Jordan, when I sat him down, I said, "This is your movie. You are the star." We've seen my character, but we've not seen is someone that can take the lens, in this case, a camera, and put it on America in a way that it is straight into the veins of America in a way that feels authentic. It's a cautionary tale, and it's not a fantasy per se. This is our reality every day. And what you see in the film, while it may seem far-fetched, there are brothers and sisters every day that think to themselves, what would I do if this happened to my child? So I won't speak to the ending, but what I will speak is to the call to action, which is change the narrative. What are we going to do differently? We just saw what happened with brother, Andre Hill. We just saw what happened with Casey Goodson. What are we going to do differently? And how will you all as young folks engage your peers? Because like I said, I do believe the movement is yours. How will you engage your peers in the way that we can change the way that we tackle these issues? So I hope that answers your question. I don't want to speak to the ending of the film. But I will say this is a jump off point. On one hand, it's a cautionary tale. On the other hand, it's a real question to how we allow ourselves to be pacified in the wake of our brothers and sisters being killed, and how we all think about this, but very rarely will we see ourselves empowered to do something differently than we've seen in the last 100 years with respect to how we protect the bodies of those we love most.
Oh,
Go ahead, Sue.
I would say hands down, it would have to be the ending scene, which I know Nate, we don't want to give it away, but it promotes a much needed dialogue that needs to happen between law enforcement and communities of color. So yeah, I personally think that this film hopefully starts a genuine conversation that needs to be had. And yeah, that'd probably be my favorite scene.
I think, thank you for that question. I think the scene between Officer Randall and Nate, Officer Randall played by Bo, where they're both talking about, Nate saying that he wanted to get home with his son. And Officer Randall is also saying, well, I have a kid too. And I think I'm choosing that scene because it's a dialogue like we've never seen on screen before between both sides. And I think that the intention with this film is to heal just that, that space, that gap between law enforcement and communities of, Black and brown people. And that scene is so important because I feel like, people of the opposite side will be able to say, well, I'm reflected there on screen as well. And so they'll be more inclined to listen and hopefully grow from the movie.
Milauna?
I'll say the scene where your character talks about us being nonviolent and responding to these instances in a nonviolent way. It evoked emotion in me because that's always the response. We have to be the one that maintains our level of calmness, and we can't get overtly emotional. We, again, taking it back to this woman, the officer, she's standing there naked and the officers are like, can you not shout? Can you be calm? Can you react like a human being? Because apparently that's not how we're seen. But when your character says, this is how we're supposed to act, it does kind of raise your level of awareness. Then what options do we have?
One of the takeaways for me too, Nate, and I think that's one of the big takeaways for this movie, is for everybody to see things, think about things on both sides that you never saw before. Because we are forced as a community that, as we're so used to being brutalized by the police, we're so used to seeing this on the news, it's like, oh, here goes another one. But once you put us in their shoes, not that it's right, not that we understand, not that the training does not need to be re-examined, because it absolutely does. All those things are important, but you put us in their shoes and you've made us think about, what are they thinking at those moments? That's an important takeaway from this movie. What would I do if I were that person? And then the takeaway that the other side gets to see is what they don't want to see, what they choose not to view in those quick moments, those moments instead of taking a breath. Because I always say, what happened to shooting somebody in the knee? What happened to that? I mean, do we have to get people in the back running away from you? I get that you're trained to protect and serve and you might be threatened, but how about taking a kneecap out once in a while? Because I guarantee you they're going to stop running and they're going to fall down, but they'll still be alive.
Really quickly, I know we have to go, but I think it's important for us on this call to not get sidetracked by the demonizing of an individual as if it's an isolated event. You have to recognize we're dealing with systems that are designed to make widgets, and those widgets are cops that do not value Black lives, period. So it's interesting how no matter, when they say they arrested, they fired the cop, there's nothing to clap about. That system is creating widgets, which is why the brother Andre just got killed. Brother Goodson just got killed. And what time is it? Because while we're on the phone, if a Black man, woman got killed, we would not be surprised. And if it happened tomorrow, we would not be surprised. And if they fired every cop and put every cop in prison up until today, within a week, it would happen again. Because it's doing what it was designed to do. That's where you come in. And I put a lot of pressure on you as the younger generation. Not that I'm old. There's nothing more powerful than what you got to do every day. And that is speak to your audience about current events and holding us accountable, which is why you're here and old heads ain't here. This is not just fan engagement. You know what I mean? This is empowering you all to do what you do. So please, you take that away. What will the next 10 years look like? Because if it's like the last 10 years, we're doomed.